if you go into a local tackle shop in, oh, I don't know, probably within 150 to 200 miles of this area, the Panhandle, you have probably seen his rigs. They're kind of eye-catching, and they're extremely useful. So this week, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to Mr. James Pemberton of Frisky Fins on the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got a lot of cool things to talk about, so you know there's going to be a lot of tips. So I hope you brought your pen and paper, and you're going to get a lot of information out of this. If you're on the beach, I hope you're listening too, and you got a rig in the water because this is going to be fun. All right, you listen to Finding Demo Surf Fishing. Let's get after it. New week. The weekend is here. Well, when it drops, it's the weekend. So hopefully you're out there enjoying yourself. It's Friday. It's going to be a good day. Or wherever you are, whenever you listen to this, I hope you're doing well. I hope things are going great. I hope you're maybe fishing or you're just coming out of fishing or going to it. Either way, I hope everything's good. So that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said in the intro, we are talking to Mr. James Pemberton of Frisky Fins. You can find him on pretty much all your social media outlets just by the name Frisky Fins. And if you don't know who he is or what he's about, what he makes, don't worry. By the end of this episode, I promise, you'll be well versed. So without further ado and delay, welcome to the show, James. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I've been waiting for this. Like we were talking pre-show, I'd be like, man, I know I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to talk to him. It's going to be great. So I'm a little too pumped up. So
That's all right. I'm glad to be here. Glad to finally be on with you.
Oh, thanks, brother. All right, so let's get right into it. What got you into fishing?
So fishing has basically been in my blood since the day I could walk. There are multiple pictures of me in diapers and even one in a stroller of me holding fishing pole, fishing. I've been doing it since before I could walk. Um, Growing up in South Florida, I was born and raised in West Palm Beach, Florida, and started being taken to local ponds and lakes, catching largemouth bass, brim, things like that, and slowly transitioned into saltwater when I got a little bit older and could handle, catching a little bit bigger fish. And it's been a journey ever since.
That's not a bad way to start. I mean, getting the cyclic knowledge when we're growing up, and you're starting out that way. That explains so much to me now. So now I understand why you're so good. Okay, well played. So you start.
Yeah.
So you started in the freshwater in the pond side. What brought you to the surf?
So I've always been I've always kind of wanted to one up myself. Freshwater was fun, catching bass, brim, things like that. That was always fun, but I always wanted the bigger fish. I always wanted the better experience. Catching Jack Crevalle was one of my earliest memories, and it was in Lantana, Florida. I can remember landing what I thought was a massive Jack Crevalle, maybe 5, 6 pounds, but
Whew.
just the tug, the pull, the energy of a saltwater fish is really what caught my interest. And honestly, I've never looked back. If I'm bored, I'll go trout fishing where I am, but very, very rarely will you ever see me freshwater fishing. It's all saltwater from here on out, pretty much.
I'm not even a little surprised. And speaking of that, I gotta digress here because this is a funny thing. It's like when we get people down here into the Gulf that have never done saltwater fishing. It's always that question: what do you catch? It's like everything. You never know. We're gonna catch big pompano. We're gonna catch these Spanish. Hell, we can catch sharks, and it stops. Instant stop. You mean you really
Absolutely.
Oh, but every fish, I mean, even catfish at times, on a 12-foot rod, it is still a hell of a pull. It's
Yeah, and pound for pound saltwater fish, most, like you said, most saltwater fish are just they're fun to catch. They're just a thrill. I mean, it's Spanish mackerel, even a blue runner. Blue runner on a light rod going for pompano, like jig and rod or something like that. A blue runner is really fun to catch, and when I'm fishing, that's what it's all about for me. I want to have fun. I want to enjoy it. I want something to pull the line. I just don't get that in fresh water, and salt water is, you never know what's going to be there, and it's usually something fun either
Yeah,
way.
yeah. I always seem to notice for blue runners, it's always a double up. Did you have you
Uh-huh.
run into that?
Oh yeah, yeah, those things travel in schools.
Yeah, man.
Definitely.
I hate to say it, I'm actually looking forward to them this year. I do like the taste of them. They're not horrible.
So I've never eaten one, but there were some monsters that we were catching today, pushing close to a pound. I mean, there was pound and a half. There were some big boys out there this morning.
Nice, man. Yeah, because we were talking pre-show. So when you were fishing today, you were pier fishing, right?
Absolutely. We were on the Gulf Shore State Pier. Um, Went out to Target Pompano. One of the products that I sell is a pompano jig. So went out to try out some new colors and new teasers, and within a few minutes realized that that wasn't going to be feasible with all the Spanish around. But there were some big blue runners coming up on the pier as well.
So now I got to ask, did the Spanish hit the goofy?
Absolutely. That's all I was using the entire day.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
Oh no. They're gone.
Took the teaser off. Yep. So it took the teasers off because they'll just destroy the thread on the teasers. But half ounce it seemed like they wanted. So I do a white with a gold glitter, and then I do a white with an orange glitter, and they were all over them. Working them kind of slow on the bottom, and usually hit them on the fall. They were all over them.
So that was something that I'll personally admit, I've had problems with them in the surf. I've never taken them to the pier. I know that I've been told by other people, like, dude, just take it out there. It works. When you're throwing the goofy jig, the banana jig, I mean, how many other names for this thing? I mean, pompano jig.
Wiggler jig. There's a couple of them.
Yeah. So when you're throwing these, I've heard, you can do it kind of like a diamond jig. You can turn and burn it, but it's not as effective. Whereas if you're doing the jigging, like you're just doing a pop, pop, pause, even with a little speed, you're kicking up the dirt a little bit, and it's almost like a shrimp profile, I guess, for the fish, and they just go right after it. And then when you have the teaser, it's just that extra little like, oh, I want that. How do you like to work the jig?
So my main technique would be I don't bomb cast them. When I'm on the pier, I cast maybe 20, 30 yards. I kind of want to keep it at a certain angle. Um, Always let it hit the bottom. You want to use the weight that'll get to the bottom fast, but you also want it to look natural. 3/8 and half ounce are my preferred. If I have to fish a 1 ounce, that's kind of pushing it for me. But I like to let it hit the bottom, pop it 2 or 3 times, and let it go back down. I don't move it again until I feel it hit the bottom. Like you said, the idea is to make it look like a sand flea kind of rustling in the sand, or a little crab or a little shrimp, and those are always on the bottom. Um, and with the teaser, I tie it on with a loop knot. So I do about a 2-inch loop knot, and 90% of your bites for pompano are going to come on the teaser. Um, if you think about the way the jig is moving in the water, the jig is heavier than the teaser, obviously. So when you pop it up, the first thing to go down is going to be the jig, and then the teaser will actually float kind of on top. So when the pompano are feeding down, they actually strike the teaser more often than the jig. So I actually feel that the jig color is the attractant, and then the teaser is actually where the hook really needs to be, and not as much in the jig.
Okay. So when yours are tied, you do the hook isn't the same direction. You do opposing sides, if I remember correctly, when I saw the last one.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I do the opposite.
Okay. But it's that 2-inch loop knot is giving you that movement for a little bit of sliding because it's not a fixed point. It's going to move around, and you want it to do that. Or is that
Absolutely.
okay? Cool, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I've been definitely doing that wrong.
A lot of us have it. And it's a skill. There's a lot of people that do it really well. I'm not one of them. I'm not a master pompano jig user, but there are some people that it is a pleasure to watch them fish a jig. There's just something about catching pompano on a jig. It's a different bite. They fight different. It's hard to explain, but it's a thrill, and I love it.
Oh man, I can only imagine with that. And I know a lot of the jetty guys are they swear by them. They're out there with those, and they're just turning and burning all day with a pompano or goofy jig, just popping
Oh
it and
yeah,
going.
I love it.
So,
If that's the only way that I could fish, I'd be fine with it.
oh, bold, very bold, sir. Well done.
Yep.
In the surf, a little bit different game because you got to get a little bit further out. Uh, but even in that first 30, we know there's plenty of fish. I cannot. I find it amazing how many people overlook the first 50 yards of the water area.
Mhm.
And throwing a jig in there, you're still looking at whiting. Well, hell, croaker will come in. Even a red will probably go after it. Any surprises that have ever been reported to you on one of the jigs?
Not really surprises, but last year, I actually received a picture of somebody that caught an 18-inch flounder.
Wow.
Who, yeah, they were just bouncing it in that first trough, kind of slow rolling it and put it right on top of one, I guess. But yeah, it was that's a nice surprise. Definitely a nice surprise.
Oh yeah. I mean, flounder are curious as it is, but it takes them a second to go after something like that.
Yeah, he just said he was slow rolling it, just kind of, more of a tap tap pause. And I don't think you need as much of a pause because it's more of a reactionary bite. But I guess he just kind of put it right on top of one, and it took it.
It's never a bad day to catch a flounder in the surf.
No, no, definitely not.
So let's move.
Flounder anywhere around here.
Oh man, yeah. I've only, caught one keeper. The rest of them, the accidental. Like, sorry, really sorry that
Mm-hmm.
you were there.
Yep.
But that's really it's a whole different fight too. It feels funny. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It just doesn't act like anything else.
Yeah. And you got to be patient. I think that's where I and a lot of people, even when you're live baiting for them, you got to uh, just slowly move that mud minnow or whatever lure. It takes so much patience, and I don't think a lot of people have it. Honestly, I don't.
I don't.
I don't target them.
I mean, mine was on a crab knuckle on the bottom part of my pompano rig. So hey, eat it, go for it. I will bring you in.
Absolutely.
So let's continue on about your fishing styles. When you're gonna go out, when you're basically at the beach, what do you look for when you're picking a spot to fish?
So I am not an early morning person. I am
Yes.
never there. I am never there at first light. I am never there 30 minutes before first light. So when I get there, honestly, I'm looking for open beach. I'm looking to get away from people. And if there happens to be a cut or a good rip somewhere, obviously that's where I'm going to fish. But I'm more or less looking to be far away from people and just kind of secluded to myself. I think that in certain times of the year, location is key, absolutely key in the middle of summer where the fish are very far and few in between, but right now they're everywhere. And my goal is to just enjoy my time on the beach, to get away from people.
All right, good call. I like that. And yeah, you're right because they're everywhere. And we love you
They
guys.
are.
We love you guys for going to the beach. We do. We have no ill will towards you. We just want to be away from you because you're spooking all the fish and getting in our
Exactly.
lines.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Obviously I want, if I have it perfectly, it's away from somebody, deeper pocket, uh, sandbar. I like having a deep sandbar personally. Um, I don't, like you said earlier, that first 50 yards, I think it's very overlooked. So if my first sandbar is 75 yards away, I'm fine with that. I don't need to cast over that sandbar. I fish close anyway in general. So I like a deeper sandbar. Preferably there's a little outflow there, and away from people. I mean, I can't stress how much I enjoy being away from people when I surf fish.
I mean, I'm kind of thinking you're saying something here, but yeah. But where you're at, I mean, you're normally in Alabama when you come down here and visit. You're normally over on the Gulf Shore side. If I'm not mistaken, I think I'm right, but I could be wrong.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
You've got a lot to contend with condos and homes. So I mean, you're fighting either way for the most part, right?
Absolutely. And there's still some spots. You've seen my cart.
Yeah.
I have the big four-wheel behemoth. And that's honestly why we have it. If I have to walk a mile away from condos, or if in between condos where the condo goers aren't going to go, that's where I'm going to walk. There's still a few places in the area, Fort Morgan. There's still a lot of open land down there. But I'm just trying to get as far away from people as possible.
Yeah, man, I get it. I absolutely get it. With your going out and you get to your spot, how do you set up your gear? And I mean, with that, uh, what rods are you normally using? What rigs do you? How do you? Well, I know what rigs you use. I mean, what? How do you set your rigs up, and what do you like to bait with?
Yeah, so if it's just me fishing, I take no matter what, I take six rods every time I go to the beach. If I'm planning to be there for a while, I take six rods. I take two 12-foot, two 11-foot, and two 9-foot. All custom rods. They're all made by me. On Ninja Tackle Dagger blanks. I like to stagger rods like most people, but I do mine with my two uh, far rods. I do my 12-footers on the left and the right side. I cast those pretty much as far as I can. And then on the inside, I only fish four total. So then I'll bring, depending on the weather, it'll either be my two 9-foots are in the middle, or my two 11-foots are in between. And I'll cast out maybe 75%. And then the second rod will be 50%, covering all the water levels. And once one of them starts to get bit, which usually is the longer rods, I'll start to move rods, deeper, closer, depending on where they are. I like spinning reels. After a couple experiences with conventional, I think I might actually transition to conventional and be one of the very few people in the Gulf that uses them. But that's for next season
Wow.
probably.
Well, look at
There,
you. Oh,
there's just something about I forgot how much I like casting a conventional reel.
which one?
So
Which one were you casting that got you back to be like, ooh, I missed you?
so it was I think it's Achios, or I'm not sure how you pronounce Achios. But they're smooth.
Yeah, they
They're
are.
smooth casters with some 17-pound mono, and I was having some fun with it over the weekend.
Nice.
So
What were you? Was it the chameleon, the 656?
it was, yeah, it was.
Yeah, that. So Burford got me on that.
Hmm.
And I won a rod from him, and a rod and reel combo, and it came with a 656. And I know I got 25-pound hybrid line on there. And I'm like, I just
So
can't figure it out. And now I'm realizing after talking to more people, like, dude, you're just, no, you need different line. You need to do this because if you do these all right, it's going to go a country mile.
absolutely, and again, you don't always, we all know that you don't have to cast 150 yards every
Right.
day, but it's nice to be able to have that option. Um, Everybody laughs. I don't get in the water. I am not somebody who steps foot in the ocean. There's sharks in the water, and I respect that, and I don't get in. So I need every inch of casting distance I can get, to make it to the backside of that bar. So
It's like talking to myself. Like, no, no. Up here, I'm the apex predator. In there, I went down a couple rings.
you are speaking my language. I probably haven't been waist deep in the ocean since I was 10 years old. I just won't do it.
It was for me. It was my late 30s, early 40s, and I was like, no, I'm good. Namaste here.
Yeah,
Appreciate you.
yeah. And then as far as bait goes, over here in Alabama, Shrimp just seems to work. I've never surf fished anywhere else that shrimp works so good for pompano.
Yeah.
Um, Fishbites, Fishgum, I think they're about the same as far as what you get out of it. Fishbite seems to last a little longer on the hook. Fishgum seems to attract a little bit quicker. So it just depends. If I want to throw a rod out and not touch it for 45 minutes an hour, fish bites is going on there. If I don't mind, the fish are kind of hot and heavy, and fish gum's probably going to go on the hook. Um, I've tried crab knuckles, haven't really had any success with it. Um, and I'm a little too lazy to pump ghost shrimp. If I could buy those from a bait shop, I would. But it's mainly a synthetic bait and shrimp for me. That's what I'm fishing.
Hey, man. Yep. Hey, hell up and down this line here. That's a lot of things what you're going to see up in this area. So
Hmm.
if y'all are coming down here, really, there's a reason the bait shops keep fresh dead shrimp.
Yep. Oh yeah. I mean
It's useful.
that's key. Yep. And it catches everything. It'll
Yep.
catch whiting. Um, I hate to say it, but it'll catch catfish. It'll catch blue runners. It'll catch ladyfish. Anything that's swimming by. If you're out there just to have a good day and you got family, friends, you throw a piece of shrimp on there and a little bit of synthetic bait, you're gonna catch something. I mean, you're gonna have some fun.
Mm-hmm. You ain't wrong. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, what has been the most impactful thing that you've learned about surf fishing?
Reading the beach. Um, I used to be that person that just walked out and casted where it looked fishy, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Learning how to read the beach and really seeing why certain people caught more fish than others when there was I mean, I'm sure you've seen it. You can be in the middle of six people, 20, 30 rods in the water, and there's one guy who's catching fish. Um, he hopefully, maybe he just lucked up and walked into a spot, but reading the beach, reading the outflows, reading the currents, it has changed pompano fishing for me. Um, and I say that I think this time of year, right in the middle of the run, I don't think it's as important. I always think it is important, but in June, July, August, when the fish are so scarce, if you can be in the right spot, it gives you 10 times. I think you're going to be so much more successful if you're in the right spot in certain times of the year.
Yeah. Speaking of that, so let's talk about this for a second because reading the beach is so important. And I know this is a podcast; we don't have any visuals for you people, but this is something I do, and I wanted to see if you do the same thing because I think you probably do. Because most of us that I've fished with or fish around, they say the same thing. So you walk up and you've got the outflow. You can see a decent cut in the waves. It's not crashing, so you're like, okay, I know I have a rip here. Um, if I'm close to that rip, I'm normally bombing left of it and right of it, and I'm not bombing the center field of it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
Yep.
you do the same thing.
Yep. I mean, in my opinion, I feel that the water gets pulled out and pushed left and pushed right, and that's where everything's getting pulled. That's where I want my bait to be sitting.
Yeah.
Um, if I was to, free line a bait or maybe put a, very small egg sinker and let it roll with the current, I might try in the middle. But everything is getting pulled to the left. Everything's getting pulled to the right. There's no reason why my bait shouldn't be in that outflow right there.
Yeah, makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the easiest misconceptions that I've come up with hell for me when I first started when I was looking at rips was, oh, you got to bomb the rip dead center. It's like, no. You want to be to the edges because those fish are hiding on those edges of that. Now, granted, it's not a deep cut and super highway. You've got a bit of it, but you're going to want to bomb the sides.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. The fish want an easy meal. They don't want to sit in that turbulent water, and they don't want to fight the rip current. They want to sit on the edge and wait for it to get pushed to them.
Yeah. Those poor coquina clams just getting sucked out, just waiting
They
for a
do too.
pompano. They really
Yeah.
do.
Mhm.
Those poor fish. Well, speaking of those poor fish, oh yeah. God, I love that sound. Oh, yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is your first bait check call for today. It has been 25 minutes. That means it is time to reel those lines in. Well, that's what I do. That's me. But get that bait checked. If it's still good, awesome. If it's off the hook, hey, get it back on there. If you had some shrimp on there that came off, perfect time to retip it. Get that done, throw it back out there. This number one bait check was brought to you by Ninja Tackle VA. So Ninja Tackle, as we're talking about it, which is kind of convenient, James builds on their blanks, but they have so many more things besides just rods. They've got rods, reels, rigs, apparel, and some other fun things, which we can talk about another time. But head on over to ninjatackleva.com and you'll be able to find all those things at your fingertips, waiting for you to get to use. All right, back to the fun. Now, so we nailed that one. Let's talk about your rods, which is actually a perfect segue. Man, things are just getting better here. Well, actually, kind of a double. What came first for you? Was it the rods or the rigs?
Rods.
Okay.
I've been building rods for myself, just kind of getting into it for probably 15 years. Um, 13, 14 years, somewhere in that area. But it was definitely the rods. I've always really liked doing those.
Okay. I know this question wasn't on there, but now I'm going to ask it. What was the first rod you made?
So I was actually thinking about that a little while ago. So it was a complete mistake and a complete disaster. It
Yes.
was, I know, I still have it. So
That's
I'm
even
never going to get rid of it.
That's awesome. Wait, do you still fish
Well,
it though?
no, there's no
Okay.
way. I would never take it out of the garage ever again.
Okay.
It was a clearance brown blank. I think I got it from Mudhole. I have no idea what the manufacturer is, but it was a 9 foot steelhead rod, and I had no idea, when I first started building what I needed, and um, it was a brown blank, and I put the reel seat upside down. It was a casting reel. I put the reel seat upside down. Um, I did rattlesnake skin, which I thought was going to be really cool, and I watched a bunch of reviews and I hacked it. The bottom, it's all uneven. There's big spots. You can see where I like cut little pieces of it to like push it in the holes, and um, yeah, wrapped it with some purple and brown thread, which I thought looked awesome at the time. And now that I look back at it, it's just, what was I doing?
Oh no.
But it caught fish. It worked. Where we live in Northwest Arkansas, there's a very healthy blue cat and channel cat population, and we took that thing out all the time. And I've caught hundreds of catfish on that rod, but it's a wall hanger now. It's not coming out anymore.
But it's fun. I'm sure it's fun to look back and be like, remember, that's where we were. This is where we are. Things are good.
Absolutely, there's been a lot of learning curve since that first rod, and I think I did two. If I remember, I think I did two of them, like back to back, and I was so proud of both of them. And I think the other one broke. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, it's come a long way from that first brown steelhead rod. Yeah.
So why did you want to make rods?
Uh, I saw a custom rod online. Stumbled across it. Just happened to go on a website. I think it was actually like Bloody Decks Outdoors or something like that. And it was a rod with a rattlesnake skin rod with the head actually still on the snake, kind of coming out of the handle, and it just intrigued me. I started doing research. I'm somebody who, once I start something, I can never get enough information. I'll do research for days, weeks, months, and it just became an obsession almost that I wanted to do something like that. Um, got a rod wrapper for Christmas from my father, and just bought a couple blanks and just started going. And ever since doing, I've just always tried to make them better, always tried to innovate. And until I stop making rods, I won't stop trying to tweak and make them better along the way.
Oh, hey, constant improvement, man. And it's awesome. That's huge.
Well, and in rod building, there's so many small tips and tricks where even now I see a builder who's been building for 40 years, and it's like that makes so much sense. Why haven't I been doing that? And it it's just there's so much knowledge, and just like most fishing communities, the rod building, a lot of the guys are willing to share their secrets and their tips, and uh, there's just so many good rod builders out there to give out the information that we all need basically.
See, and I was just thinking of asking you how secretive the rod building guild is, in the back channels there. How quiet y'all are if it's an open forum. That's really cool that you guys share information, though.
Yeah, I think it used to be, pretty hush hush on certain things. A lot of the old rod builders they want it to stay alive. It's kind of what I've seen in the community. They really want rod building to be around. So there's a few things that they're just not giving up just yet. Um, but they want the new generation to really do well. And uh, I think the main thing with rod builders is we want our clients to get a good build. I don't want someone to not take a build from me because it's too much or it's too long of a wait and go to somebody else who's just going to do it cheap and fast and get a bad build. I'd rather help that person give that client a really good build and a good experience in the fishing industry.
Thanks, man. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, getting that custom rod and it's all perfect because
Absolutely.
that would hurt the soul.
And it happens. You know, it
Oh, I'm sure.
it definitely happens, and uh, but I think your main rod builders, the guys that do it for a living, we don't want to. I would rather you wait an extra week if I needed to do something than you get a rod and you not like it or it breaks or I have to redo it. So it's all about just making sure everything is right. If I want it fished, I'm not going to send it out to somebody either.
Well, speaking of these, I'm gonna shout your most recent build because, of course, he's my friend. But Matt Baker with Beach Buzz, you just made him a beautiful rod. Tell us about it because the pictures, you got to see it in person. Really, everybody, if you get a chance, if you're in the area, and if Matt has the rod out, go see it. It's a beautiful rod. Frisky did a hell of a job with it. But tell us about that process of building that rod. And then we'll get back into the actual, the actual question since now I'm off topic.
No. So, there's a backstory to that. So actually, Matt Baker, my wife, she loves to go to forts and she loves to go to all military things, and we weren't allowed to get on to a base. So he actually had his father take. I think it was his wedding anniversary.
Yep.
Took me and my wife to Pensacola Air Base, and we got to see everything. And so, kind of as a thank you, I wanted to build him a rod. So he kind of gave me a few ideas. We went back and forth for a few days, and he asked if I could put I believe it's the naval aviation wings on there, and I found some small stickers, some different decals, and I really wanted to make the rod special, so I went out and had it painted the same blue as the Blue Angels. So that's the kind of the theme of the rod was he wanted something to represent Pensacola, and so we went with like a navy blue and a yellow, and I think it's an almost perfect match to the Blue Angels colors. And then that decal, that was the hardest part was was finding that decal. I think I ordered probably $80 worth of decal. I needed the right size, the right color, and I think it matched almost perfect.
Oh yeah,
So I was very happy with that one.
yeah. It's a beautiful rod. You did an amazing job with it. Yeah, you did the wings perfectly. I remember I was looking. I was like, yes, yes, everything about this, yes. So
Yeah.
I know
No,
he's.
it turned out really well.
I asked him, "Are you gonna fish it?" He's like, "Oh," and I was like, "Man, you gotta fish it. It's a work of art. I get it, but it's gonna be the lucky rod. It's gonna be the 20-inch
Absolutely.
pompano rod."
There's rods that I always say that they're hard to give away. Where I start building one and I have a vision of what I want. And I can kind of see it in my head, and when I actually get it on the rod, and there's ones that are really hard to give away, and that was obviously it was a gift, and very appreciative for him helping me and my wife out, and but that one looked good. That definitely could have been a part of my arsenal.
You say good, I say a work of art. Come on, man. I can understand
I
falling in love with that
appreciate it.
baby right there. That would be a hard one to be like, just take good care of her. Remember
I
her.
appreciate it. Yeah.
How did you end up deciding on what blank to use? Because I know you use Ninja Tackle blanks, the dagger
Yeah.
blanks. What brought you to that's the blank I want?
So as far as the dealing with Ninja Tackle, we've just become really good friends, and I love the blanks. Um, he spent years doing research and design and really coming up with what I consider one of the premier blanks uh, in the industry, but there's not a lot of them. It's a very, very small market for surf fishing blanks. I mean, honestly, if you want a 7 foot inshore rod, I have 30 different options I can give you, and they're all very small, minute differences. But in the surf rod industry, there's really not a lot of options. Um, so I've fallen in love with the blank, and I push it to my customers. I don't get a kickback from Ninja Tackle or anything. I believe in their product. Um, they are a little on the heavy side as far as action. That 12-foot rod will handle anything from bull reds to pompano. Um, but if he wanted, there is another option out there. There's a couple options for a much lighter action. But I don't think there's a better all around blank than the Ninja Tackle Dagger. 11 foot, 12 foot nine. I just love them. Um, and I'll go over options with the customer. This is what you can get from this company, and this is what I can get you from this company. And we just decided that was the best option for what he needed.
You're damn right, though, man. I mean, he has a hell of a rod. Well, I have two now, I guess I could say, because my other one's shipping. So I finally have two daggers because I've finally grown up out of my starter rod series and realized, hey, I can actually fish. I guess I should buy some different gear.
Mhm.
um, so I now have two, and I have one 9 footer, and the 9 footer has just blown me up when it comes to being throwing lures real quick. Um, yeah, you couldn't ask for a better set, and Matt did a hell of a job because I can't wait. We're gonna do a podcast on Matt. I'm gonna corner him, and he knows I'm gonna corner him.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right. It's a phenomenal rod all around. I've seen, I mean, hell, I guess almost every species in the surf so far caught on it, and
Yeah.
it just takes it all day. It's not. It
No,
doesn't hate it.
absolutely. I've taken my 12 footer, my custom built, and I've been able to throw 5 ounce Sputniks and catch, good pompano. And then we've also taken it down to Mobile Bay and caught those those car sized stingrays out there too. Same rod, completely different application, just changed out the reels, obviously, threw some heavier line on it, but they function for pretty much anything that you could catch in the surf. I wouldn't say you want to go out and catch a 10-foot, tiger shark or anything on it, but anything that you can basically catch from 150 yards off the beach, it'll handle it no problem.
Yep, absolutely. What is the process in designing a rod?
It's a lot of what the customer wants. I'm actually doing one right now where I've had a customer sent me over a picture actually of multiple different color. It's kind of like an oil painting almost. and they're wanting me to match that as close as possible on a rod. And it's so you just go back and forth on kind of what the biggest thing is color. Um, Color plays a big, there's certain colors that go really well together. There's certain colors that don't go well together. Um, we could talk about this for hours, but it's if you want a lightweight blank, if you want heavier grips, it's really what the customer wants, and then I kind of reel them in on no pun intended, but
Heyo.
yeah. If you have a general idea of what you want, I can really help you, get through that process. But there's a lot of times where my customers just say, I love what you do. I trust you. I like red. Build me a rod. And those are the funnest builds to me because I get to have no rod's ever the same. Even though the wrap might be similar, the thread counts are different. The small dragon scales are going to be a little bigger, they're all a little different. Um, so that's I really enjoy that the freedom of those builds as well.
Dude, you're an artist. You know that?
I try.
Yeah, I've yet to see a rod come from you that isn't an automatic stop, and the first word is "ooh."
Well, I don't post them all, so
Oh, I know. So I've had a few years around me. You were very, very generous, and still thank you to this day for hooking up Panhandle Surf Fishing for our when we got to 10,000 members, and you hooked us up with a rod, and
yeah.
I got it, and Alan Blake, he won it. And we were talking on the phone, and I was joking with him. I was like, "Oh man, your rod just fell off the car. I don't know what happened. I'm so sorry." And he kind of paused and he just laughed. He's like, "I swear, wherever it is, I will come get it. I don't care."
Well,
But
funny story, that happens a lot when I ship them. They just randomly fall off the map and sometimes take 20 or 30 days to get there,
uh,
but uh,
I mean
they've always gotten there so far.
that process is already. I mean, I can only imagine how terrifying and gut wrenching it is putting it in that PVC and just doing the, please make it, please make it.
You are not joking. There are some days where actually the rod that I had shipped to get painted for Beach Buzz, it took over 40 days for it to arrive. Um, and I had filed a complaint and everything. I was already getting my money back, and then it just randomly showed up at the guy's house who was painting the blank for me. Yep. I had already sent him a second replacement and everything. So there's some miscommunication somewhere.
Well,
But
it doesn't for us. So this is something I found out with my local post office. Um, I had a rod shipped to me. It was the winning rod from Burford. He sent me the Akios rod, and I kept getting notifications. Hey, it's here. We couldn't deliver it. What do you mean you
mhm.
can't deliver it? And I'm thankfully on a first name basis with my mail carrier. He's an awesome guy. He does really good stuff. Finally, I was home one day early enough, and I was like, "Bro, what's going on with my rod?" And he's like, "Oh, hey man, I'll be honest with you. I can't get that thing to fit in the truck." And I was like, "Well, you could have left a note or something. I'd have come got it." And he's like, "Well, I'm like, look, it's cool. I guess I'll figure." He's like, "Don't worry about it. I'll make sure it gets here tomorrow. I promise." And he did. He got it to me the next day. So
Yeah.
when Matt sent me my dagger, I was following the note. I was watching the notifications, and I saw it had arrived in Navarre. So I drove to the post office, and I was like, "This package is here," because I knew what was going to happen. I knew I was going to be told, "Hey, it's delayed." And I walked in, and again, I know several of the people at the counter. I don't know how this happened, but I know most of the people at the counter. And Dwayne looked at me. And he's like, "You got a rod here?" And I was like, "You know, where is it?" He's like, "I'll go get it." And I took
Yeah.
it home. So I've come to that point now when it comes to a rod. If I'm tracking it, if it makes it to the carrier facility local, I'm going to it because I want I'm impatient. But I know fitting those tubes in those trucks, that is a challenge for them.
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%.
It's
Yep.
terrifying too.
Hmm.
How long does it take to make a rod? And I know that's kind of a broad question. So once you have the idea sketched, everything's good to go, and you're about to put it, you've got the blank lay down, ready to go. What is about the normal time frame, would you say?
So rod building is about waiting. So uh, days, probably 6 days, 5 to 6 days from the time that I start my glue up to the time that I will wrap it in bubble wrap. It's probably about 5 to 6 days. But as far as hours go, 8, maybe 10 hours total. A lot of the time in those 5 or 6 days is waiting for things to dry. You have to let your epoxy, your real seed epoxy, that's got to dry for 24 hours. So I put it on in the morning, throw it in the garage, go back and get it the next day. I can do the wrap and the guides usually in a day, um, and then a coat of epoxy. Then it's got to dry for 12 to 24 hours, and then another coat of epoxy, and it's got to dry. So there's a lot of go and wait. It's kind of what I always say, but probably about 8 hours total of work time and 5 to 6 days of waiting for things to dry.
Wow.
I do multiple at a time. Usually I usually do 2 rods at a time is kind of my thing, and then when they're on the dryer, then I can start another one. So yeah, I'm constantly going. I'm booked out about 3 months. You're pretty constantly right now. So there's a lot of waiting, unfortunately.
That's just part of it. You can't expect it from one person to be like, oh, hey, where's my rod in a week? I mean,
Yeah.
you can get a rod in a week. You're not going to like it.
And you're not going to get it from me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are you making other rods other than surf rods?
Oh yeah. Anything under 8 feet. I just can't. As far as ship, we were just talking about shipping. Shipping a rod over 8 feet is just a absolute nightmare. Pricing, I mean, it's in the hundreds of dollars to ship anything real long. But what I normally do is I take orders throughout the winter or throughout the summer when I know I'm going to make a trip within a couple months, and I build king rods, inshore rods. I just built a really cool kayak sheep's head rod specifically for Sean Lawless of Lawless Tide. He just
Oh,
got one from me. Oh yeah, it's painted in a sheep's head, black and white kind of checkerboard almost, and shorter butt for in the kayak, a little more maneuverable. He wanted a shorter rod so he could get in next to the pilings. And if you can dream it, I can probably do it. I kind of stay away from the really heavy tuna rods and swordfish. That's not my genre. I'm not familiar on how to fish that way, so I can't really recommend a good blank. If somebody says I want this blank and these guides, and then I'll do it. And I don't do fly fishing rods. It's not again, I've never fly fished. I have no idea what the good action or grip length is, and so anything inshore, boat rods, pier rods, surf rods, bass rods, trout rods, I'm your guy.
dang, man.
So,
And Sean had mentioned something about that rod, and I just looked at him in awe. You smart man. How? Damn it.
it's a nice one. Yeah, he actually picked out the grips for it. And that was one of those where a little less is more. We talked about the paint job. It's from a guy in Florida. He does amazing paint jobs on rods, and the paint job is so nice, and the grips are kind of over the top. And so I just did a very simple I think I did black and gray, kind of like a very light gray to match the rod. And very simple wrap, very minimal, lightweight, functional, but it looked amazing on that blank.
Oh, man. I'm already looking forward to seeing it. I know
Sure, he'll
he
show
is.
you.
I know he is because, dude, Sean, you know it as well as anyone. If you follow Sean's channel on the Lawless Tide, you know Sean is he's a beast. He won't tell you he is. He's very humble about it, but the man can fish, and he was crushing sheep's head this year.
Yeah.
It was insane. But hearing he's going to have that rod for next year, uh, man, the videos are going to be great because he's really going to get after it.
Yeah, no, it's a great looking rod.
So let's transition into your rigs.
Okay.
Why did you start making rigs?
Uh, the availability when I first started getting into surf fishing, we've been coming down to Gulf Shores for years, since the new pier was built, which I think is 8, 9, maybe even 10 years ago now. We've been coming down here, and the surf fishing industry wasn't what it is now. Um, there was one, maybe two surf rig makers. Salty's rigs were just starting to come around when we were really getting heavy into surf fishing, and I wanted something a little bit different. My rigs are different than his. The lengths of the drops, the just everything's just a little bit different, and that's what I like, and that's what I preferred, and it's what caught fish for me. Um, and then I left a corporate job that I'd had for a long time, and my wife was said, "Hey, you've always wanted to do some fishing stuff. Why don't you start doing the rigs like you've been talking about?" And 6 months later, we were down in Florida selling our first round of rigs. I think it was Golf Breeze Bait and Tackle actually. Uh,
Oh,
sold a bunch of rigs and actually sold them a couple rods, and it was a heck of a way to start it.
yeah. I mean, I'd say didn't set the bar high at all there. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm. Well, even with that, now that I see it, it is that time. Oh, yeah. Second bait check. Oh, I'm hoping whoever you are, if you're out fishing, it sounds so good. I hope you caught your limit by now, and you're probably listening to this on the car on the way home, or you're really close to your limit. That's even better. Well, kind of painful, but either way. The second bait check today is brought to you by Gomexis. Gomexis knobs, power knobs, they are great. I've got them on pretty much every one of my rods now, or on my reels now that I think about it. If you're looking to get your hands on one, go to Gomexis, their main website, and we have a discount code. It's SURF, SURF. Putting that in, you'll get a discount, 10% discount on Gomexis knobs. Great product, good fun stuff. So you got them into the bait and tackle shop. So you started Gulf Breeze Bait and Tackle. What goes into your thoughts into the designs for your rigs?
Um, so I personally like a smaller drop. Um, for me, I don't get the spin. A lot of the rigs when I first started making my own rigs, even before I went uh, commercial with them, I did a little bit longer drop, and they seemed to spin a lot when they were reeling in or casting in the wind. So I went with a little bit shorter drop. Um, I mainly wholesale three colors. I do a chartreuse, a pink and white, and kind of an orange and chartreuse. And I think that gives you the best options for watercolor, um, to have a little bit of an array for clear water, murky water, and dirty water. Um, and really just making a rig that worked for me, that I caught a lot of fish on, that I thought other people could get behind and uh, catch fish with, and it's taken off 100-fold. It's bigger than I've ever imagined it would be. So it's been a journey.
Oh, I can imagine, especially with all the seasonal changes too. You know, all the colors, and even the way things have changed in technology. That it, it's different than like a year ago. I hate to say that, but I definitely know it is a full difference from a year ago.
Oh yeah. Well, and there's a few of us that we keep trying to innovate, and we keep trying to do different colors and different float styles, and obviously I just released publicly. I just released that rattle rig, a couple days ago, and there's just something about trying to make something that'll help a fisherman. Um, I've always wanted to try something with a rattle. I've always, sound is always good. Putting beads next to the floats, they clank around a little bit. So I said, why not put a rattle in a pompano float? And 6 months later, we have a rattle in a pompano float.
That thing's gonna be dangerous.
I think so. I think so too.
I'm not saying it's tied up yet. No, actually it is. I did tie it up. I tied it up last night. Now that I think about
Good,
it, I did tie it up. Oh man, yeah, because that's happening this week.
good.
Do you think that the drop length matters?
Um, so if you think about I think people overthink a lot of things. As far as for the fish, if you're casting 100 yards and you have a 10-foot rod, that angle on the line is almost straight down when you have when there's bait on it. By the time it hits the bottom, your Sputnik or your pyramid sticks, and you put a little tightness in it. It doesn't matter if you have a 24-inch loop or a 6-inch loop. I think it's going to be almost near the bottom anyway. Um, I think a little bit longer loop gives you a little more motion in the current and a little bit choppier water. But for me, the downside was the spinning, getting that line tangled around my main line, or it coming back and the hook being turned inside out, or so that's why I personally like a shorter loop, but I don't. I'm sure it does in very clear water and when fish are being like extremely finicky, but 99% of the time, I honestly don't think it does. Honestly,
Okay. Man. See, people, you've got freedom right there.
I'm sure I can already see. There's 20 people on their keyboard right now that I don't know what I'm talking about, and but
Hmm.
I've caught thousands of fish. I know the rigs have caught thousands of fish. I really I don't think it's enough to worry about it if there is a difference.
Yeah, I buy that.
Yeah.
Well, so what is your thought on? And this is the one where the people that were already touching on the keyboard, they're really going to hit the keyboard now. What is your thought on hook direction? You remember this when this came up because I remember that post and I was like, "Ooh, this is gonna get fun."
It's amazing. That was such a great post. So I am no expert. I didn't design the hooks. I don't know the science behind it. I have again caught thousands of pompano, thousands of whiting, thousands of fish along the lines with the hook the way that I put them on. I've tested them the other way. I've sent them to people. I've never had an increase or decrease in hookups or misses um, with the hook the other direction. I think I see how it looks when it's turned inwards, or quote unquote the proper way. Um, but I don't think it makes a difference. And what I tell people is, let me put my rig in your hand, close it like you would on if you're a fish's mouth, and let me yank the hook out of your hand, because it's gonna hook you. Either way, it's gonna hook you, whether or not the hook is faced in, faced out. It's gonna stick you at some point. I promise you. If you let me do it 100 times, I guarantee you, I'm gonna hook you 95 times. Um, so I don't think it makes a difference. There's a lot of commercial fishermen who will fight you over it, that it has to go one direction, and then there's a lot of commercial fishermen that say it doesn't matter. So I think it's more of I've been doing it my whole life this way. I've seen all my friends do it this way, and that's what you feel is comfortable, and that's the way they're going to do it, and that's great. Do whatever makes you feel comfortable, and whatever you have confidence in. That's the way I want you to put your hook on the line.
There you go. All right, we'll get away from that now. I knew when I sent you that one, I wanted to ask you off the side, like, what'd you think? Because that was the one I
It's
figured you'd be like, oh, come on, dude, really? You want to ask that
better.
one?
I get it every couple days. There's some, can you do, and if you message me, and if you buy rigs off me, retail through the website, and you want me to put the hooks the other way, I'll turn them around for you. I have no problem doing it. But as far as wholesale goes, they're going on the way they are.
No. Hey, do your things. All right. So passing that one, let's talk the bottom of the rig. Um, And I learned a very, very important lesson from Salty on this. So this is why this question is so important. What size sinker maximum do you recommend for your rigs?
Oh, 20-pound fluoro. Personally, I throw a 3 ounce. 4 ounce is fine. I would recommend not going above a 5 if you are not, or above a 4 if you are not a uh, proficient caster. You can cast. The guys from Ninja Tackle were casting 7 and 8 ounce pyramids on my rigs 2 days ago, but they know how to cast it, and they were easily casting 8 ounce weights. I wouldn't go above a 4 if you're not somebody who knows how to cast, and yeah, nothing above a 4.
Yep. Because
Yeah.
that's what I tell people too. Normally it's all right, if it's 20, the I guess the first rule of thumb I heard was if it's 20-pound, 2 ounce, 30-pound, 3 ounce. But
Yeah.
as time went on, because that's what happened, I snapped a Salty rig when I was first started, and I texted him like, "Why'd your rig snap, man?" And he was quite nice about it,
Yeah.
which was friendly. And I definitely deserved for him to reach to the phone and punch me in the face. But that was when I learned about more about these, and I wanted to ask you about that because I know a lot of people, they walk in and are like, "Oh, what are you throwing?" And especially new people, you bump into a seasoned angler and they're like, "Well, I mean, I throw fives." Like, "Oh, okay, so I can throw a five," and then it snaps and they're angry and then they're like, "The rig failed." It's like,
Yeah.
no, science. You're putting too much weight.
Absolutely.
So okay, so
Yeah.
4 inches.
And this weekend, that's all I was throwing was 4 and 5 ounce Sputniks, and you just can't whip the rock. There's just a different technique when you're throwing. They do seminars on casting and proper ways and if you know how to do that, you can throw a 5, 6, 7 ounce on 20-pound test. But I recommend three. Three is perfect. I mean, I've never ever worried about snapping anything with 3 ounces, but 4 ounce would be the maximum. I would really recommend.
Good call, man. So, what else are you creating right now?
Ooh, that's a good one.
No secrets, right? I mean, I'm not probing at all.
Oh, I don't. I am not one of those people. If somebody ever asked me, I would tell them. Obviously, we just came out with the rattle rig. I think that's going to be the new thing. We spent a lot of time getting that right. I mean, it's a whole process of, them molding a special float inside of the float that I use, and we went with a couple of my more popular colors. But next down the road, there might be a new pompano jig that is designed to, let's call it, agitate the water and the sand when it's jigging. There's a new there We are working on a new design for that, and there might soon, maybe next season, maybe next spring, there might be a retail style rod that we might try to release as well. Kind of like the Ninja Dagger and the over the bar, just something that we can get out to the masses, and you don't have to wait 3, 4, 5 months for me to build you a custom one. Still high quality, great components, but just a little easier to get.
Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said earlier, this has been a journey, and it's every day it's amazing. It's eye opening of what we've been able to do in just such a short time. So we love it. There's nothing I'd rather be doing right now.
Makes me happy for you so much. I could gush on that all. Anyway, I gotta keep doing. What is
Yep.
your next goal?
Next goal is to hire some people. I have reached during this trip. I've always been able to just work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, some days working 18 hours a day. just around the clock, tying rigs, pouring jigs. I've been able to keep up. And this year, I have finally hit that point to where we are big enough and selling so many rigs that I finally have to hire some people to tie rigs. That's my next goal is to get a couple full-time, part-time rig tires and uh, just keep producing at a high quality and at a high rate, but maybe me not work 18 hours a day, 7 days a week for months at a time. They said open a business that'll be fun, and it's great, but there's a lot of sleepless nights that I stay up and tie rigs so that all my shops can get them on time.
Mm-hmm. That when you said that, that was the first thing I thought is, yeah, open your own job. You're working from 40 hours a week to working 24/7. It's going to be great.
Well, I can only go so fast. On a good day, I'm tying 350 rigs a day. Uh, on a normal day, 275, 300. So there's only so many order. I just got an order from one of my bigger shops maybe 3 weeks ago that I've started to send smaller batches for 1,800 rigs. So even if I sat down and tied them all day, that's like 8 days, of doing nothing but tying rigs straight. No rods, no jigs, no nothing. So, and that's just one of over, I think we have 26 shops right now. So that's just one of 26 shops, and it's getting there. So we are looking for some people. If you know anybody that wants to tie rigs and doesn't mind working on a little commission, send them my way.
Yeah, here you go. Oh, by the way, everybody's hiring. There you go. We'll figure out a way to get you to send in your resume and hopes.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
That's so cool, man. What do you think is behind the surge to surf fishing?
Ooh, that would more than likely be Mr. Bama Beach Bum, in
Mhm.
my opinion. Um, I think YouTube in general has helped a lot, but I think in this area, Matt Isabel from Bama Beach Bum, I think that his influence has been amazing. Um, we started, like kind of got into it. We used to come down and fish the pier, and my wife had a couple interactions where she didn't feel comfortable on the pier, and I didn't really like being around certain people, and she kind of wanted to get away from people. So that's how we started surf fishing. But I started watching Bama Beach Bum. I used to surf fish in South Florida, but I've never fished the Gulf from the beach. So watching him getting on the beach, that's been a big factor, I think, for a lot of people. Um, and then over the last couple of years, I think with the virus, I won't say the name, we'll call it the virus. I
Okay.
I think I think a lot of people were stuck inside, and I think a lot of people watched a lot of the YouTube guys in this area, and they saw how much fun they were having. Because a lot of people, when you're on the beach, I'm sure you've had it. Well, what are you even catching on the? Can you even catch fish from the beach? And it's like, absolutely. There's
Yep.
40-inch reds. And they just don't know. So with the time that they spend inside and the amount of people in this area doing YouTube, I think it was just a perfect storm. I really do, and it's been great. My first year, even last year, we've every year we double in sales, and this year it just kind of it was like, oh,
Oh, I hate that moment sometimes.
yeah, you know, I'd open my email and see my orders and just go, ooh, okay, okay, I see what you guys are doing.
Pot of
So
coffee
it's
it is. Let's go.
yeah, but it's been great, and I think a lot of the fishermen have responded really well. There's still a lot of people that are learning, and I think just being patient and it goes back to why I go on the surf where I go. I try to get away from people, but if someone sits up next to me and I can help them enjoy their experience instead of yelling at them or giving them mean looks or I want everybody to enjoy their time on the beach, and I think we all have that responsibility.
Yeah,
So
you're good, dude.
I try.
Yeah. All right, your last question. It's the heaviest hitting one.
All right.
Not really. It's probably one of the easiest ones. What do you wish a new angler would do before they ever put a line in the water?
Ooh, so it is a little hard.
It is.
Um, I think two things. I really wish a new angler would go to the beach and just observe. Um, See how that's what I did when I learned how to pier fish. Um, just see what we're doing, ask questions, um, kind of notice that people are spacing themselves 25 yards away from each other. I think that there's a lot of I just don't think a lot of the new anglers understand kind of the unwritten rules of fishing. They go on a beach and they see, you, Tony, and Smitty. Obviously, you guys are friends, so you pack in together. And I think that they just think that it might be okay, to kind of set up right next to you guys or, uh, just kind of get in your space or something along those lines. But I really wish they would just go to the beach, kind of watch what everybody's doing, take notes, just ask questions. I think all of us will answer almost any question that a new person has. I think we all kind of enjoy it, actually, pass on that knowledge.
Yep.
Um, and then the other thing that I would really ask is learn your rules and regulations. There's nothing that gets me going than seeing someone keeping small pompano or two bull red, or three bull reds or something along those lines. And it's our responsibility. Rules and regulations change pretty frequently. They shut down seasons just out of nowhere, and it's our job as anglers, even a new angler, to know the rules. If we break the rules, it's our fault. It's not the FWC or the Alabama resources. It's us. And it makes us all look bad in the long run. Yeah, the officers don't know that they've only been fishing for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It kind of makes us all look a little irresponsible. So those would really be the two things. Just kind of take your time, learn what you're doing before you just start going out and bombing 3-ounce lead weights into the water, and just make sure you're in the right whenever you're out there as well.
A really good resource I use for that, and I've said it in other podcasts, I'll say it again, and they're not sponsoring this show yet, but I am going to reach out to them. Fish Rules. The app is wonderful for that because it keeps you, it hones in on your GPS location, and if you're in those zones, it'll tell you, what fish you can keep, what you can, if the season's open, the season's closed. It gives you a lot of really good and particular information. That you do have to identify the fish. That is very important. They
Yep.
do have a feature for that though now, which I found out about not too long ago. For a fee, they will tell you what fish it is. Um,
Oh,
so that way you don't have to go into too many Facebook groups and hear the words, which I utterly hate. Freaking snook candy, bro. We don't even have
yep.
snook up here.
Yeah. No, I use Fish Rules. I mean, it's on my phone. It's on the home screen. I use it all, because and it's not as much Alabama, but I don't fish Florida a whole lot. And since we are so close, I mean, there could be a day where I drive 15 minutes to the east and I'm in a completely different fishery.
Yep.
And I don't fish year round. I'm sure when I'm down here full time, it'll be completely different. But I mean, I know flounder season was closed. It was a weird year, and sea trout was closed in certain spots, and that's all. That's all on Fish Rules.
Yeah, that one.
Mhm.
There was a couple of crazy ones. I mean, just across state line, you couldn't do this, but if you came to Florida, you were fine.
Absolutely.
Oh man.
Well, and different lengths of pompano and limits, and there's
Yep.
somebody who might they might fish Florida and go over to Perdido Key, or go over the bridge, and then they're in the wrong. They're keeping 6 fish instead of 3, and they're too short. So you just gotta be you gotta know what you're doing, and I really think that's a big thing because it makes it more enjoyable for nobody wants to get a ticket. Nobody wants to get harassed,
Nope.
by the state park people and the FWC, and it'll make it so much better for everybody involved.
And they really don't like writing tickets, which I didn't realize until I had a great conversation. I didn't get the ticket in the conversation on that. Well, no, I got a warning, but that was because I was driving. Anyway,
Absolutely.
we're not going to talk about that. All right, man. That's all I had. Did I leave anything out? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I mean, I think we got most of it. The only thing that I'd add is we are going live after 2.5 years with a website,
What?
friskyfins.com. I know I've just always not needed it, honestly. But we're carrying a bunch of really good product. We're going to start carrying the Ninja Tackle, uh, 11 foot, 12 foot, a couple different models of their rods. We're carrying sword knives. Um, we'll have all of my rigs, sheep's head jigs, pompano jigs, shirts, cups, you name it. It's gonna be a good one. But that goes live May 1st. So go check us out, and if you need some rigs or jigs, place an order with me.
That's awesome, brother. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's about time.
I mean, I'm not going to say that. It's your business, but it definitely makes things a little easier.
I just got the look from my wife. She's sitting next to me reading a book, and she's been telling me from day one to have a website, and we finally did it. So
It's funny how, like, I know we're kind of rambling here, but when it comes down to our wives and they look at us like, just do it. I'm like, well, just do it already. But
Mhm.
look, fine, you were right. Okay, I'm just gonna say it now. You were right. Fine.
That's, well, that's not my thing. I build fishing tackle. I don't know how to do websites, so we had to find the right designer and the right people, and they've been great. I mean, it's fully designed by somebody, and uh, it's amazing the things that they can do. But yeah, we're up and live, and again, we're going to carry Ninja Tackle. We're going to carry uh, sword knives. We got a bunch of really cool things going on there as well.
Great stuff, brother. Well, congratulations again, and thank you for coming on and I mean spending all this time with me and everyone here. It was beyond knowledgeable and educational on all aspects. So really, seriously, thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, man. We'll catch up soon. I know we will.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, man. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. Frisky Fins, James Pemberton just came on, gave you a ton of knowledge. My notes are wow. I have them all over the place here. I'm definitely got a lot to write about. So if you are looking for any of his gear, and it is past May 1st, which this episode should be after May 1st, you can go to friskyfins.com and you can peruse the website. You can purchase all the things on there and get yourself set up for success. If you're looking to connect, you can find him on all social media platforms, Facebook, Insta. It's Frisky Fins. And if you got questions, reach out. He's very responsive. And if you're looking for a new rod, you heard his process. You heard all about how he does all this. You can really come up with a great design. So don't wait on that. Get after it and have some fun. All right. That's it for today. Thank you so much for hanging out here at Finding Demo Surf Fishing. We really enjoy, I mean, how we, me and my other voice. I enjoy you being here. I'm hopeful that you got something out of this. If you did, please don't forget, like, share, subscribe. Pass this to somebody that you know could probably use some good knowledge or doesn't know much about surf fishing yet, but they're interested. Until next time, take good care of yourselves. Hope you're catching lots of good fish, and we will see you. I'm out of here.